let's snort some herbs. What's that? Oh, I guess I'm not allowed to say that. Let's make some nourishing nasal oil. Now, the reason that you would want to do this is if you have a nose that's always irritated and stuffy, a nose that's raw and red around here, especially in the winter, or if it's running all the time and you're not sick and you don't know why and you just want it to stop. This is also super good if you live in a super dry climate or if you have hay fever allergies that you're reacting to in your nose. The practice of nose oiling comes from Ayurveda, which is the oldest traditional medical system on earth. It comes from India. And one of the oils that they like to use is sesame oil. It's very nourishing. It does have antibacterial, antiviral properties. But you can also use jojoba oil, apricot oil, argan oil, and if you're looking for a budget-friendly option, just use the best olive oil that you can get and make sure that it really is olive oil. The only oil that I absolutely don't recommend, and I don't know who's been doing PR for coconut oil is just not it, folks. It's like putting a layer of wax on your skin. You don't want it in your hair, you don't want it in your skin, you don't want it in your nose. And the reason is it can trap in moisture to lock it in. If you're super dry, you took a shower and you want to lock in that moisture, okay, fine, but it's going to clog your pores. And it's actually very drying. So I would definitely not try this recipe with coconut oil. It's going to just dry and irritate your nasal passages even more. And the herbs aren't going to be able to soak in because it's just going to rest on the surface of your tissue. As far as herbs go, we have a bunch of different options. We have the foraging path, which would be grab some stinging nettle, dry it thoroughly, or dead nettle. Violet's also a super good one, or plantain. You can dry these herbs, crush them up, put them in your oil. That's the free option. For me, I'm going to be using some calendula. It is extremely wonderful for healing skin. So when you're blowing your nose a lot, you're just making these tiny little tears and it just gets irritated. Calendula speeds healing. It speeds tissue repair, like it actually makes it go faster. So I put it in any of my skin soothing balms because it's just amazing. And I have a ton of it, so that's going in. The next one is nettle. Nettle has antihistamine properties. It also prevents mast cell activation. So if you're dealing with a lot of hay fever, a lot of allergies, nettle is your guy. Drink it as a tea. Drink it every day. It can be kind of drying, but we're kind of going for that anyway. And if you start drinking the tea or using this oil ahead of your allergy season, you're not going to be reacting as badly. This is just kind of a drive-by on these herbs. If you need to know more detail about any of these herbs, let me know in the comments and I'll do a deeper video on that. I'm also using Gatu Kola. Gatu Kola is also tissue building, and I know we already have calendula in there, but I'm using it in particular for its nervine and vulnerary effects. So you're putting this stuff in your nose, right next to your brain, right? Gatu Kola is probably one of my favorite herbs for supporting anxiety. I use it on the regular as part of my ADD protocol. And getting it through your nasal tissue kind of makes it a little bit more fast acting. So it's doing two things here, and I think they're both beneficial, so it's going in. The last one I'm using is holy basil or tulsi. I grew a bunch in my garden this summer. I really enjoy the process of working with herbs that I've grown myself. Tulsi is super great as an anti-inflammatory, and it's kind of going to be the thing that makes this smell good. We do not use essential oils in this. That is going to be way too powerful for that very, very delicate tissue, and I don't like using essential oils in my practice at all. Anyway, if you want my full opinion on that, let me know in the comments. Okay, as far as amounts go, I would just use a teaspoon of each of these things. Maybe double up on whichever herb you like the smell of most, and you do not have to use all of these herbs. If you just start moisturizing your nose with a nice healing oil, you're going to be ahead of the game. If you add just one healing herb, I would say calendula, And if you add just one antihistamine, anti-inflammatory herb, I would say try nettle. But it's really up to you and what you can afford. And there's nothing wrong with buying a box of nettle tea and just slitting open one of the tea bags and just dumping it in here. What I've done is I put it in this little thing. I'm going to kind of break it up a little bit. These are dried herbs, and breaking it up just kind of increases the surface area. And then I'm going to put it in my mason jar. And then I'm just going to tamp it down a little bit. You can see that this is about 1/3 full. And then I'm going to fill it with my oil of choice. Not all the way. I'm going to fill this about 2/3 full. So I've used up all of my sesame. That's fine. I'm also going to use argan oil. Argan oil. And I think this is a total of 5 ounces. If you're being really fussy in measuring, it's a very forgiving recipe. You don't have to do that. But I have the herbs hydrated. I have the jar a little under half full. And then there's 2 ways of doing this. You can just let this sit with a lid on for 6 weeks. That's a long time. I don't have time for that. The other thing you can do is you can put your crock pot on low, fill it with water to this part of the jar, and let it sit overnight. The heat will draw and extract out the properties. Calendula especially likes a warm temperature to extract. And when you're done, you filter out the herbs and put it in whatever jar you want to. You can apply it inside your nose with a dropper, or you can use a Q-tip and just gently put it in there, but that really itches. This is a super long video. Thank you so much for sticking with me. If you have any questions, I would love to do follow-up videos on whatever you're interested in.